Hi, everybody. Lawyer Autumn Whit-Boyd here, back with our latest installment as we're wrapping up 2020. Today, we are going to talk all about legal for list building. So if you are like me, you know that in an online business, your email list is one of the most important assets that you can have, but it doesn't happen overnight. And if you are new to online business, what is an email list? So an email list is simply a group of emails that you send information to, or maybe promotions, maybe you have a newsletter. It is a group of people who have basically raised their hands and said, yes, I would like to hear from you. Maybe if you're an online store, you send out information about new products or promotions. If you are an online coach, maybe you send information about a new program that you're offering or a different way to work with you. Or you could just be sending out helpful tips. It can take lots and lots of different ways. We here at the AWB firm send out a weekly email with updates about our podcast. And we're changing that a little bit in 2021. So I will give a plug. If you are not on the AWB firm email list, now is a great time to join. I promise we do not spam you just with promotions. It is a good mix of legal information, tips, things that you can actually put to use in your business. Anyway, so getting back to legal for list building. So I hope that you can see, and especially I would say over the last 5 years that I've been in online business, working in this industry, I have really seen the email list become more and more important because a lot of us started our businesses building them on social media. That's certainly what I did. I was in Facebook groups. I was meeting people, connecting with people. But every time Facebook changed the algorithm, it would totally affect all of my strategies. You know, maybe I had been getting a lot of feedback and connection from organic posts, and then Facebook changes things, and so that changes. They're really moving more and more towards pay to play. So, you know, for a while, I was getting a lot of traction in groups, and that has kind of changed. So, and we're seeing that on the other platforms as well, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. So having an email list is really an asset that you own. It's not someone else's platform. Those are people who have directly connected with you, or you have somehow connected with them. Maybe they're past customers. Maybe they're people you've met in person. There's lots of different ways to use an email list. I actually have one for the AWB firm that is professional connections. So maybe they're people I refer clients to, or that I met at a local networking event. You know, maybe they're in a complementary business, like they're a CPA or a financial planner, all kinds of, different professionals. Or maybe they're just people that I know from law school, but I have a whole list segmented. And I send them different things than I send to my regular list. So lots of different ways that this can look. But I hope that you see, as I'm talking about this, what a valuable asset this can be when you are trying to get the word out about what you're doing or how you can be helpful. How people might, send people your way. There's lots of different ways, again, that you can use it. So with, very large online businesses, when we think about some of our clients who have, $5, $10, $15 million annual revenue businesses, they might have hundreds of thousands or even millions of people on their email lists. If you are just getting started, I want to encourage you not to be, worried about that or feel like you're doing things the wrong way. If you only have a small group of subscribers, I started with 0. So it is very possible to build your list slowly but surely, because the truth is, for most business owners, and especially if you're a service provider like we are, you don't need 1 million people on your email list. I could not have 1 million clients at the AWB firm. Even if I wanted to, we couldn't serve them without hiring a lot more attorneys. So especially for my service providers who are listening, even for my e-commerce or, online course sellers, and I would say particularly for coaches, you have, a limited bandwidth, a limited number of people that you can help. What you need is the right subscribers. You need the right people who are interested in what you have to offer and what you're talking about and the information you're sharing and in what you're selling. So as you are trying to attract and get those right people on your list, what we often see is this is done by kind of enticing people, offering them a little something for free. In exchange, they give you their email. Now, in the United States, this is a little bit different than it is in the EU. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit when we get to some of the legal requirements around list building. But in the United States, it's pretty freewheeling around how you can get people on your list. But this is often done, as I mentioned, by offering them something of value. This is sometimes called a lead magnet, sometimes called a freebie or an opt-in, in exchange for subscribing to your newsletter list. It could also just be done by, and one of my clients, Braid Creative, has done this. They've taken all the opt-ins off of their website because they're really an agency. They're not trying to build their email list to something giant. They just have a button on their website where you can subscribe to their newsletter. So you're not really getting anything in exchange. You're just signing up to stay in touch with them. So that is another way of list building as well. It doesn't have to be like a quid pro quo, an exchange of this for that. But often what we see is those freebies, those opt-in, those lead magnets. That's certainly one of the ways that we have grown our list at the AWB firm. So if you go to our website, we have tons and tons of resources on every show notes page for this podcast. We have a resource that you can download, and we just ask for your email address, and that's also how we deliver it to you. So it makes it very easy. You can also find it later if you need it. So some ideas that are very popular of ways to build your list. So to attract more of those right subscribers who are, in your target audience, who are interested in what you have to sell, who want to learn the information that you're sharing. I'm going to talk about 3 ideas that you might try and give some examples. So especially if you're newer to online business and this is kind of a new concept to you, these are great ones to check out. Getting ideas. This will get your wheels turning. And then we're going to go into 3 things that you need to know legally when you're doing any of these list building strategies. And before I jump into that, I should give my standard disclaimer. I'm Autumn Whitt-Boyd. Hi, nice to meet you. I am a lawyer. I practice and am licensed in Tennessee. Our law firm works with businesses all across the United States. If you are listening or watching, please take this as information only. This is not meant to be legal advice. This is just to get your wheels turning, help you think about what you might need. But if you have specific questions about your business, please ask an attorney, whether that's someone with our firm or someone else, so that you can get the right one-on-one advice for your particular situation. All right, so let's talk about a couple of ideas for list building. The first idea I want to go over is a challenge, and this is very timely. I'm recording this on December 3rd. It's going to air a couple weeks later, but we are about to launch our firm's first big challenge, which I'm super excited about, the Prep to Scale Challenge. If you are listening to this on the podcast, we just wrapped it up. If you're watching the video, we are about to start it. You can check out information about that at awbfirm.com/challenge. And we're going to have all these links in the show notes. So if you're listening to this in a podcast player, or if you're watching the video later, we'll have all those links there so that you can get to these easily. So our challenge is a 5-day challenge. We're going to send an email every day. If you're listening to this later, we did send an email every day with a prompt. There was a beautiful kind of workbook or guide that we sent out with exercises and activities for people to do to help make a legal plan for 2021. So evaluate your business, figure out maybe what you're missing or what you might need for the plans that you have next year, and make a plan so that you're ready to go. So that was our challenge, the Prep to Scale Challenge. Another example of this is our friend and client, Jasmine Starr. She's a social media educator. She has a free Instagram challenge. So her challenge is all about leveraging Instagram to boost engagement and get new followers. You can find that. Again, I'll drop the link. It's kind of long in the show notes. So you can sign up for that. It is active. It is available. You can join it right now. So if you want to go check that out and maybe go through it and see what it's like, that's available for you. So challenges are really fun. Again, you're providing a lot of value. You're challenging someone to get a result in their business. So those can be really fun for list building, for getting new people into your audience. All right, another idea is a quiz. So often this is, maybe do you have this problem in your business, or what thing do you need, or what type are you? All kinds of different types of quizzes you can do. If you have not heard of Ryan Levesque, he is kind of at the forefront of the thinking on using quizzes, kind of gathering information and then sharing potential solutions or potential ideas that are more tailored to the people you're trying to attract. I'll include a link to his book, Ask, which I read and I thought was very helpful. So we have a quiz. This is one of our list building strategies. So you can go check ours out if you want to see what it's about. It's specifically for online coaches. So our quiz is called Would Your Coaching Business Land You in Legal Hot Water? You can find it right on the front of our website at the top, or go to awbfirm.com/coaching-quiz. Again, that link is in the show notes. So again, with a quiz, you are basically asking people a lot of questions, and then to get their results, they typically are going to enter their email and you will send them their results by email. The last idea that I want to give you is a free mini course. So this is kind of similar to a challenge, but it's usually more kind of on demand. So a challenge might be live or it might have some interactive elements to it. A free mini course is usually either just delivered by email or maybe it's in an online platform like a Thinkific or just hosted on your own website. But again, you're delivering some value. You're giving people some steps they can take. You're teaching them some things, and hopefully they're going to accomplish something in their business after going through your course or in their life. I mean, this does not have to be just a business. So 2 examples I'll give you of these. One is business. Our client, Amy Porterfield, has an awesome mini course on list building. So this is very meta for today's episode. You can go to amyporterfield.com/growmylist or click on the link. And our client, Corinne Crabtree, who is a weight loss coach, she has an amazing free course. I mean, people have lost tons of weight just by doing her free course, not even, joining her membership or doing any of her other things. And that's at pnp411.com. You can find her free course. And again, all of these are just ways to make new friends, provide some value, and get people on your email list so that then you can keep talking to them. You can keep hopefully getting to know them. They can get to know you. And then eventually you can promote your stuff to them. So 3 things that you need to know legally for any of these strategies, or really any other list building strategy. Anytime you're trying to grow your email list, get new followers, new subscribers, the biggest issue here is really our privacy rules. So in the United States, and I'm a US lawyer, most of our clients are in the US, you must have a privacy policy. And you've probably, if you've listened to the podcast or watched our videos before, you've heard me talk about privacy policies. This is kind of one of the very first things that I recommend most new online businesses work on because it's required. It is not optional. The good news is that it's kind of set it and forget it. So it's one of those things that if you don't have it, you just need to get one and you need to put it on your website. And then once you've got it, you don't really need to think about it until we hear about a new change. And the privacy laws are evolving. Our last big change was 2018 when the EU did a bunch of changes. California has a new privacy law, but it really only affects very large businesses or businesses that deal with a lot of data. So that's not going to apply to most newer online businesses. But there are more states adding privacy laws every day. Maine and Nevada are 2 others that you might want to look into, but California is kind of the gold standard. Usually, if your privacy policy meets California, at least as I'm recording in December 2020, it's going to also satisfy those other states as well. So I don't recommend that you try and write this yourself. I don't recommend that you go copy one that you find somewhere else. I highly recommend that you purchase a template, whether it's ours, available at awbfirm.com or somewhere else, but you want to purchase one from a reputable source so that you're sure that it actually follows all of the legal requirements. There are some very specific items that need to be in your privacy policy. I'm not going to go over those today, but just go get one, spend 20 minutes, fill it out, stick it on your website, and then you don't have to think about it again. All right. And the reason you need a privacy policy for list building is because one of the things you're doing when you're building your list is you're collecting personal data from your new friends. You're collecting their email address, maybe their name. I know that doesn't seem like super private data, but under our policy rules, it is. So you've got to follow these rules, got to have a privacy policy. The second thing to consider is if you are targeting or even just have people finding you from any of the EU countries, you have to comply with GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, which, as I mentioned, went into effect in May 2018. We've now had a couple years with it. It was a pretty big change. We have a whole legal guide about GDPR. I'm not going to do a super deep dive in this episode. If you want to grab that, that's at awbfirm.com/GDPR. We've got a masterclass there you can watch. You can get our free legal checklist for GDPR. I also have lots of podcast episodes, so we'll link to those. Episodes 38, 39, 40, and 83. If you want to go find those, all about GDPR. The big change with GDPR, and again, this is not the rule in the US. So if you just have people coming to you from the US, you don't need to follow these. But what I have found is most people with online businesses are getting people from all over it. And it's very hard to sort out or to repel people who are in the EU. There are technological ways that you can try to do it, but it's not always 100%. People use We use one here at the AWB firm, software to kind of hide your IP address, or, if you're working from a coffee shop and you might use some software to, make your connection more private. All of those are going to bounce your IP address around. And so it's not going to look like you're located where you're actually located. So those geolocator technology is not 100%. So I don't recommend counting on that to try and weed out EU people. What I recommend, honestly, is yes, GDPR does impose some new rules. It's a little bit more stringent than the US privacy laws, but it's not that hard to comply with. And the US is going in that direction also. So my general take is if you see your business growing and that you might want to have EU people that you target in the future or that are in your audience, just go ahead and comply with GDPR. So let's go over the big difference with GDPR is that if you want to send someone promotional emails, so if you want to add them to your list and then market to them, they have to affirmatively consent to that. It is not okay to do what a lot of us do in the US, which is, hey, sign up here for my free checklist or sign up here for my free course. And they give you their email to get the thing, and then you keep emailing them updates or promotions or whatever. That is not allowed under GDPR. You have to affirmatively say, yes, I want you to market to me. So the way that looks, there's a couple examples I'll give. One, so if you go to our GDPR page that I just mentioned, you can see we've done this correctly on that page as an example. So there is an opt-in if you want to get that checklist. It says, get our GDPR compliance checklist for US online and creative businesses. You'll also receive our top legal resources for online and creative entrepreneurs. So we're saying that right up front. You're going to get other stuff. So it's kind of full disclosure. There's no hiding the ball under GDPR. And then it also says, when you sign up for our mailing list, we'll email you when we release new podcast episodes. And every so often, we'll let you know about promotions on our products or services. We will never sell your email address. So again, it's just totally full disclosure. If you are signing up, this is what you're going to get. So people know right from the get-go that they're signing up for a list and they will be marketed to. So that is one way to comply with GDPR. If you sign up here, it's kind of the full disclosure method. That's method number one. Method number two is you could have an opt-in form. And usually this is like linked to your email provider. So MailChimp or ConvertKit or whatever you use, Entreport. Another option is that you can have a checkbox, and all of the email service providers now are GDPR compliant, anything reputable. There may be some out there that aren't, but all of the big ones are, and they make it very easy to comply. So you can add a checkbox under your opt-in where it says, if you would like to receive further, promotional emails, check here. So if they just sign up for your freebie, all they get is the freebie. If they want to get anything else, they have to check that box, and it has to start out unchecked. So they have to take an affirmative action to get your promotional emails or to get your newsletter or whatever you're sending. So that's option number two. Option number three is what's called the double opt-in. So this is if you're using an email platform like a MailChimp or a ConvertKit, it will send the first email to basically say, hey, please confirm that you want these emails. And then they have to click a button saying, yes, I want to receive these emails in that email. The button's in the email or a link. So they click on that and now they're on your list. So it's not enough just to do the first sign up. They then also have to take that second step of clicking on the link or clicking on the button in the email. That's the double part. That's the second step. If you just have a single opt-in, that means all they have to do is give you your email address on your website or wherever the form is, and then they get all the emails. So there's no second step that they have to kind of say, yes, I asked for this, and yes, I agree. So that's your third option. So that's the big thing under GDPR is that affirmative opt-in to being marketed to. The other thing that GDPR requires is a more robust privacy policy. So when you're shopping for your privacy policy template, I recommend just going ahead and getting one that's GDPR compliant. Again, it's not that much extra, but there are some very specific rules. So the AWB firm's template is GDPR compliant. You just fill it out, you're on your way, you're done. The other thing that GDPR requires that is not required under US law is that you have to link to that privacy policy right by where you're collecting that information. So ideally, if you do have like a pop-up on your website or a little box that people are typing in their information, that link to the privacy policy should be right there. like on the box or near where they type in their email address. Most of us, as a just kind of formatting on our website, have it in the footer at the very bottom, but GDPR requires that you shouldn't have to search for the privacy policy. It should be very easy to find, and so you shouldn't have to scroll all the way to the bottom to find it. It should be right there. And that's really true on any contact forms or anywhere that someone is submitting their information. That, at checkout, if you're putting someone on your list, if they're a customer, that privacy policy should be linked right there. And then the last thing, and again, this is not all of the changes of GDPR, these are just kind of the high points for US businesses, is the cookie notice. And you've probably seen this when you go to a new website, you get this little notice, this website uses cookies, please click here to agree. What cookies are, they're a little piece of code that when you visit a website, it gets kind of put in your web browser and then it follows you around the internet. So this is why, if you didn't know this already, when you go on Facebook and you were just shopping for socks and then you go to Facebook and there are the socks, there's the website that you were just on. Usually with me, it's something a little more embarrassing, like diapers for my kids or, something like that. Something more personal where I'm always surprised, even though I know how this works, when it pops up or sometimes it's, if you're on other websites even, they'll use sidebar ads and you'll see, oh, I was just looking at that belt at Nordstrom and there it is in the sidebar. Kind of follows you around. So that's what the cookie notice is. It just kind of lets people know if you use that tracking device that you have to let people know that when they visit your website. Okay, so those are the high points of GDPR. These privacy rules are really the biggest thing you need to keep in mind with your list building efforts. I'm going to talk about two other things a little more quickly. The first is CAN spam, and this is a US law that has been in effect for a long time that governs email marketing. And so this has a couple of requirements that, again, I'm not going to hit them all, but the high points are when you're sending out marketing messages, you have to basically identify them as advertising. You can't kind of hide the ball. Although I think most of us at this point are pretty savvy. We know a marketing message when we see one. You have to include your mailing address. So a lot of my clients will ask me, can I use a PO box? I don't really want my personal address on all my emails. That is fine for CAN spam. You can have a PO box or a UPS store box or whatever. But you have to include your mailing address. You have to make it possible for people to unsubscribe. So that's why, all the email providers basically require this because they want to comply with CAN spam. You have to make it easy to unsubscribe and you have to honor those unsubscribes. So you can't put them back on your list after they unsubscribe. And then you can't have misleading information in the to and from. So you can't say that it's coming from someone else when it's really coming from you. And you can't have deceptive subject lines. So you can't say that you're going to send them information about, weight loss tips. And then they open it and it's actually promoting sneakers or something totally different. We want the emails to be truthful, to have correct information, and for people to be able to kind of know what they're dealing with when they're getting emailed. So that's CAN spam, quick overview. The third thing you need to know about when you are list building is that all of the truth in advertising, all of the general advertising rules that apply to any advertising, whether it's a billboard or a magazine or anything, those apply to online and email marketing just the same. So there are not special rules for truth in advertising. It's just you got to comply with the same ones everyone else does. But it works a little differently because you are online or you are in someone's email inbox. So a couple of things, and again, we have other episodes that dig into this a little bit more, but just hitting the high points. If you are trying to promise results, and especially if you have an opt-in that's maybe a free course, you don't want to promise that someone's going to lose 25 pounds or that they're going to make $1 million in their business by doing the thing in the guide or in the free course that you're offering as your opt-in. You want to be really careful around what you're promising that someone is going to be able to achieve, especially when it comes to things like weight loss and earnings. Those are two very sensitive issues for the Federal Trade Commission, which polices all of this. So if you have a landing page or somewhere that you're wanting people to go to opt in to receive something, you want to just be careful with your results promises there. And if you want to learn more about this, I talked about this and also testimonials and endorsements a lot more in episode 164, which was just a couple weeks ago. You also want to disclose if you are an affiliate or have a sponsorship relationship. So one example for this, we have affiliates for our contract template store. If you're not an affiliate and you would like to be, you can learn more about that. Just shoot us an email to info@awbbfirm.com. But so we encouraged our affiliates to market, to promote our challenge, because if someone used their link to join the challenge, then that puts a little cookie on that person's website. And then if they later shop with us, that affiliate kind of gets credit, and they'll get their affiliate commission. But the important thing with that is those affiliates have to disclose that they are an affiliate. So that they're not just promoting the challenge because, out of the goodness of their hearts, but that they do have a financial incentive, that they will earn a commission, of course, at no cost to the participants. But there is a potential that they could have a monetary gain from this promotion. Anytime that's the case, if you are an affiliate and you're promoting something, you have to disclose that relationship, or if you're a sponsor, or if you have sponsors, things like that, always have to be disclosed. And then the last thing is be careful about testimonials and endorsements. So there's, again, very specific rules around how you can use other people's feedback on your products or services. Go listen to episode 164 if you want more information about that. But we will often see that on landing pages, maybe say for a challenge, Susie Q did the challenge and lost 100 pounds, or Dave Jones went through the challenge and, got 100 new customers the next week. We want to be really careful with those. There's all kinds of rules about whether the results are actually typical, whether most people achieve those kinds of results. So again, anytime you're talking about earnings or business results or weight loss, those are the ones we want to be especially, or health claims. I don't talk to a lot of like vitamin or supplement providers, but if you're in that business, you also want to be careful. There's lots of rules around this. Okay. Before I wrap up, if you missed it and you wanted to join the AWB Firm's Prep to Scale Challenge, if you're listening to the podcast, it is finished. So you cannot join. It was a live challenge, but we still have the fast track option available. So that is where you can, for $27, you can get all of the content that we shared. It is in a portal, so you can access it all at once. We've got videos, we've got this guide that walks you through, worksheets to help you, a ton of free resources. Well, they're not free if you're paying for Fast Track, but they're included. A ton of great resources, checklists, swipe copy, all kinds of stuff that you can actually use in your business as you're preparing for 2021. So that is still available. You can go grab that and you can do it at your leisure. And then we'll always have the for the near future, we will have the Legal Roadmap Facebook group. I can't promise we'll always have it, but for the near future, we have the Legal Roadmap Facebook group where you can come if you have questions or need feedback. We pop in there all the time. So that is available. Go snag that if you missed it. And that will give you also a chance to kind of see how a challenge is put together. So you can kind of check that out. That's, again, awbbfirm.com/fast-track. That's hard to say. That link is in the show notes. Please join me next week. I'm going to wrap up now. We're going to take you behind the scenes of that challenge. So I can't wait to share how it went, what we learned, all the fun stuff. And you are going to learn some stuff too if you are doing list building in 2021. So hope to see you then.